You have a call at no expense to you from
Todd.
an inmate at Nevada Southern Detention Center. To accept this call, press 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press 9. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hey, guys.
Hey, peace and blessings, Mr. Todd Engel. You're the $500 trophy for the feds, I think.
$500 million.
Oh, that's right, 500 million. 500 million. Sorry. Big difference.
Oh, Lordy, what have I gotten myself into this
time? I can't imagine what you must feel like every day you wake up separated from your family. And I presume do you have any kids, sir? Or?
No, I don't have any kids.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure you miss your wife and your family, and so I can certainly empathize with you there. And we want your freedom regardless. And I think that. I don't think he's married. Oh, you're not married. Well, even if you're just a single man. well, Todd, even if you're a single man, we want you free. I think you got a lot of people that love you out here, nonetheless.
Well, I think that's why the Lord chose me to spend the extra time in this hotel.
Well, I think you
wife or kid.
Amen. Well, I think you've got the whatever the Constitution that it's going to take to bring these evil bastards down. And from what I hear about this Wooten memo, it's got a tremendous amount of valuable information in it that people are looking forward to seeing.
Well, that's what I wanted to give you guys an update. So my attorney came out and visited on Tuesday. And we war game this whole thing from every different angle you can imagine. We filed every motion that we possibly can think of, and the judge has ignored every motion that we have filed to this point. We truly feel that she's going to continue to ignore everything until the day that she literally just overturns everything and releases us. Most likely me and Burleson at the same time. Burleson has, a side note, Burleson's attorney has filed a motion to join all of our motions, and it has caused a massive uproar at the prosecutor's office. They're in a tizzy right now. But, so to give you guys, continue this little update here, we feel that there is much too much at stake for her to grant us the motion to put Wooten in a room under oath. And let me go through the reasons why. The prosecution filed our indictment against us on I think it was March the 2nd of 2016, and the next day we were all arrested. In that indictment, it talks about snipers, and it literally, they're a figment of Cliven's imagination, and Cliven used this so-called call to the militias for protection because of snipers that didn't exist, and we now know that it was not true. The snipers did exist. So we had almost 2 years from the date of the incident to the time they indicted us and arrested us. And during the course of that 2 years, Larry Wooten was the lead investigator. So what we'd like to know through a deposition of Larry Wooten, and I would love to ask him, Mr. Wooten, when did you turn over exculpatory information concerning the presence of snipers? And if he, under oath, says, I turned it over before they indicted everybody, then that would show that the prosecutors and the government knew that there were snipers and still fabricated an indictment and stated that there were no snipers when they had either material evidence that there was, or they had knowledge that there was snipers out there. So at that point, what they've done is considered a fraud upon the court and continuing to indict us knowing that there were sniper teams on the Bundy Ranch. So if he were to say that he turned over information of sniper teams prior to the indictment, the prosecution has a real problem. I mean, we're talking criminal issues against him. for doing what they did. Now, if Mr. Wooten will answer the question, when did you turn over information of snipers at the Bundy Ranch? And he says, after the indictment. And then the prosecution does not amend or supersede the indictment because it's then invalid. It's void because there's things in there that are wrong. And then they continue on with this charade with the faulty indictment, which they did, because we know for a fact that Wooten did turn over evidence of snipers at one point or another. We just don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say he turned over evidence of snipers after the indictment, and then the prosecution continues the charade and puts us on trial with the knowledge that there were snipers. Now, through my trial, I argued as my own attorney at the presence of snipers, and they objected constantly and said there was no snipers, when we know for a fact that they had evidence in their hand, exculpatory evidence, Brady material, that they were withholding from me.
Wow.
Yeah, so when did they know? When did they know about the snipers? They continued with the trials, arguing that there were no snipers, and the whole time they had in their possession the evidence of snipers and wouldn't turn it over to us.
Well, and Todd, if I could ask a question, there were some members of this thing, this event, that took plea deals without knowing the full exculpatory evidence, and wouldn't this knowledge of the snipers affect their plea deals?
So let's go down that path. The indictment at this point is fraudulent and it's void. And this is a message that I want to get to everybody that has a plea deal hanging over their head, and to Jerry DeLamus. It shocks myself and my attorney that nobody is fighting from that position. That the entire time, especially if Wooten had turned over information about snipers prior to our indictment, that none of these attorneys are fighting for their clients to have the indictment thrown out, and thus their plea bargains.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. They should be filing motions on those grounds that the indictment is fraudulent, and it was fraudulent from the beginning.
How do we know How do we know they're not? And as far as the snipers go, obviously everyone knew there was snipers there before the indictment.
Of course, we saw pictures of them up on the hill behind Davy Bundy pointing rifles at him. That's one of the reasons why I went there, is because there were sniper teams. But we know that none of the other attorneys are fighting for their clients because it doesn't show on the docket that they're filing anything on their behalf.
That makes sense. Yep.
That answers that question.
Okay. So I think that the reason that the judge has postponed and ignored and delayed is because she has such a monumental decision on her hands that she does not know which direction to go. So from the judge's perspective, she now has knowledge that the indictment was a fraud upon the court.
Yep.
If she allows us to depose Wooten, she's going to find out when this fraud started. Was it prior to the indictment or after the indictment? If it's after the indictment, then it becomes Brady material that they withheld, and the prosecution should have gone back and re-indicted us without the sniper information in there, and that would have changed everything. Then they would have to release all the sniper information to us, and the case would have fallen apart. So they had to try to hide all that information, which they got caught, we know. So the judge now has knowledge that the indictment is a fraud.
Hey, Todd.
So
when you say the judge, just for me who's like coming up to speed, are you referring to Gloria Navarro, or is there a different judge? Or is that okay? Gloria Navarro. Got
Gloria Navarro. Yep.
Okay.
She actually said in Cliven's dismissal that the presence of snipers was in the first two trials was debated contentiously.
Wow.
And it was. I was up there screaming bloody murder about snipers, and they kept objecting, and she kept sustaining it because there had been no evidence presented to her of the presence of snipers. So then when it all came out in Cliven's trial, then that's why she dismissed, and she said, the first two trials, those guys were arguing snipers constantly. And
Wow.
we now know the prosecution was hiding all that evidence.
I mean, it's just shocking. It's just shocking to me, that the government. Where did the government get off thinking they can plant snipers and, aim their snipers at private citizens? I mean, what would make the Bundys so dangerous criminals that they would feel like they have to do that? And we know the government's track record with snipers, with Lon Huriuchi and other incidents. I mean, this is a very, very bad, concerning situation.
It is, and the government is fighting for everything they have to hope to God that the judge will throw her career away and go ahead and just sentence me. Okay, yeah. But the judge, Navarro is smarter than that. She's not going to destroy her entire career. If she goes ahead knowingly and sentences me, knowing that the indictment was fraudulent, she puts herself up in front of Congress in impeachment hearings. She will most likely be impeached because you guys will scream bloody murder for her impeachment.
Yep, you bet.
And she will lose her judgeship, she'll lose her law license, and she will be done.
She's young.
So she cannot go forward with this anymore because she has foreknowledge now that the indictment was fraudulent.
Right. And Aaron just said she's a young judge. We've seen in other cases similar to you guys, they bring in a judge out of retirement. He don't care if he gets impeached because his career's over anyway. But with Gloria Navarro, who's got her whole career before her, this is a weighing heavy on her, on her career.
Absolutely.
Yeah, got it. Okay, wow.
Absolutely. We saw her do the right thing in Cliven's case at the end.
Yeah.
And so I think we feel she's going to do the right thing here, but she is not going to grant us the ability to depose Wooten at this time. So to give everybody an update who has been fighting and dying to hear what Wooten has to say, do not worry. If she does the right thing and lets me out here in 1 month from today, literally is my sentencing date, we are going to move the request to subpoena and depose Larry Wooten up to the Idaho courts where he's based and where I live. And we're going to ask a civil judge in the civil trial to allow us to depose him. And that will be granted due to it's new evidence and it's material to the civil trial. So one way or the other, we're going to get Larry Wooten into a room under oath and get the story for everybody to see because he can answer a lot of questions.
Well, and Todd, on this, I don't mean to interrupt you. You're relaying to me incredibly valuable information. This Larry Wooten dude, I'm just curious from your perspective, and you may not be able to answer this because you may not be able to look into the man's heart. But do you think Larry Wooten is sincerely a righteous whistleblower whose conscience got to him and just wants to do the right thing now, or do you think there's some other things going on that we may not be aware of, or do you just think we just don't know? I mean, what do you think about Larry Wooten and his motivations?
My heart tells me the guy is an honorable guy.
Wow. Okay, very good. Good.
He wants to do the right thing, and I think he wanted to do the right thing. I think he just wanted justice and fairness the entire time and saw that it wasn't being carried out by his superiors and by the prosecution. And he said, this is a travesty, and he did the right thing, and he's honorable.
Wow.
For doing it.
We'll certainly lift up Larry Wooten in our prayers. Amen. We'll lift him up in our prayers. We need whistleblowers like him, and I pray that he sets an example for everyone else in that satanic BLM FBI organization, that they would follow his example.
Well, and therein lies, having him under oath. Him under oath in a criminal proceeding can literally take down who knows how many people in the BLM, the DOI, the prosecution's office. It's just like I talked to my attorney about it. If we were to put Larry Wooten in a room under oath between now and the day she lets me out of here, you guys would all see the doggone mushroom cloud over Vegas from Texas.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it would destroy the entire District of Nevada's U.S. Attorney's Office.
And the
BLM would suffer. So she's not. I doubt she's going to allow us to do this. We're gonna give her till tomorrow to do it, and then I'm gonna get on the horn with some folks, and we're gonna put pressure then on Congress and governors and senators and the DOJ to put some pressure on her to allow us to do it. So we're not done yet fighting to get Larry Wooten in a room under oath, but my guess is she's not going to do it because it would be too detrimental to everybody. She knows that if she kicks it down the road and lets us out and kicks it down the road to the civil proceedings, it's out of her hands, and then Larry Wooten's deposition becomes a civil matter, not a criminal matter. So,
right. Okay.
That's just what we think she is going to do, and it's smart from her perspective just to try to wash her hands of this thing without allowing Wooten to tell the truth. My gosh, if here in the next week or two, if Wooten was in a room, we're talking about congressional hearings and congressional investigations. Just his 2 memos that caused so much of an uproar already. Can you imagine him sitting there on camera under oath telling the truth?
Yeah, I think that would certainly be justified, and that would be a blockbuster bombshell type of thing that needs to happen, because these attorneys that have come against you, U.S. attorneys, they do need to lose their job, and they do need to be held accountable for withholding exculpatory evidence. That isn't just a special situation that they do with you guys, right? We've seen that. We run a prison ministry, Todd, and we see that these evil bastards withhold exculpatory evidence over and over and over again, and they get away with it, and they never get held accountable, and innocent men sit in jail for years that because they never got a fair trial because the evil doings of these attorneys. And I pray for accountability, and I pray for protection for Wooten, and I pray for your freedom. I mean, it's just a shocking story.
Well, I think it's all going to come out here, like I said, in about a month. July 19th, I'm supposed to get sentenced, and I think that's when this thing ends, and I walk out that door. And let me just let you know, I'm not going to be very quiet about what they've done here.
Amen. We need more bold Christian men that are not quiet. Make noise and shine light. Amen.
We're going to push forward. We're going to get Larry Wooten in a room, no matter what it costs us, no matter what it takes. We are going to get him into an interview, come hell or high water, and we're going to let the world know what really, really, really happened out there that week. Also, real quick before I lose you. Mr. Wooten has made statements in Wooten 1 that I know of where it looks like the BLM violated its own policies and probably its own statutes. What that does is when they violate their own internal policies, they lose their authority. Okay? Yep. And once they lose their authority, they no longer are able to carry out even the court orders. They've lost their authority. It might as well be you and Aaron walking around out there with a quarter in your pocket saying, we're going to do this. Well, you have no authority.
Amen.
You have no law enforcement authority anymore. You're just a citizen at this point. You have violated the law. You violated your own policies, and now you're out here basically a bunch of vigilantes.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that Wooten can answer, and he references that they have violated their own policies and thus lost their authority.
That's an incredibly important point. I don't think of these guys as having any sort of authority, but when they violate their own policies, it's even another log on the fire. And for them to be pointing sniper rifles at the Bundys, it's just over the top, and we all need to be up in arms and got to put a stop to that.
Amen. And did they lose their authority out there by violating their own policies? Well, we know it's most likely they did, and Wooten can answer that question. But one thing we do know is that they violated the very court orders that they held in their pocket to be impounding these cattle. The court orders did not give them the authority to dismantle and destroy Cliven Bundy's deeded water rights or kill his cattle, which are private property. So they not only violated their own policies, but they violated the very essence of the court order when they began to destroy private property and kill his cattle and tear his waters apart.
Gotcha. Incredible.
So these BLM agents all became criminals out there during the course of that week and should have been arrested by the sheriff's department. Yep.
Amen to that. Yes, I totally agree with that. They should have been arrested by the sheriff's department. That's totally true.
Absolutely.
Amen to that, Todd.
Well, okay, real quick before I leave you, there's another thing in one of the threat assessments. It talks about that if the sheriff's department comes out and arrests them, what their procedures are going to be.
They were planning for that. Yeah, they were planning for it.
They were planning for it.
Yeah.
Well, they knew that they were going to be breaking the law and violating people's rights and violating their own policies.
Incredible.
1 minute remaining.
Hey, Todd.
They were preparing.
Yeah, we got 1 minute.
Yeah.
I've heard a friend of yours is going to be visiting a friend of ours in jail named Jeffrey Winehouse, and for that we are incredibly grateful. At least I've heard that. I don't know if it's confirmed, but I don't know if you know who Jeffrey Winehouse is. We can talk about him more when you get out. But Praise God for your friend who's doing that. And anything else you want to say in the last few seconds?
I'll just keep the fight up and keep praying, people. It's working. And thank you all for all the support here in the last few weeks. It's just been a blessing, and we're gonna keep fighting until we have Larry Wooten in a courtroom.
Amen.
Or in that position. So thank you, everybody.
Amen.
Love you guys.
God bless you, Todd. We're praying for you. And it's going to be a glorious day in all of heaven when you walk out of that prison. We're all looking forward to that day, brother.
Amen. It's coming up. It's coming up. All right, take care.
All right, God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, that was Todd Engel. He is the $500 million trophy for the feds and the Bundy situation, literally. And we all need to be praying for his freedom, for justice and accountability, for these prosecutors who have withheld exculpatory evidence, for the BLM snipers who think it's okay to point their sniper guns at American citizens, and we need to be praying for accountability for the judge who's done a tremendous amount of evil things during the course of this trial. And so we need to be praying for the protection of Wooten, who is the whistleblower. And Todd seems to think that the conscience got to him and he just wanted everything to be fair until he saw the wickedness that goes on in these courtrooms. So you heard Todd right there. Please keep him in your prayers. Write him a letter in prison. Flood that prison with letters. It doesn't hurt you to drop a postcard in the mail. Said, hey, Todd, we love you. We care about you, and we haven't forgotten about you. Take care, and God bless.